Rex, how you doing?
Hey man, how's it going?
Very good, and you, bro? You have the honor of being the final question of the night. So, what is
Oh
your
man,
question?
hopefully this is a phone one for you. So I've played WoW since Burning Crusade,
Mhm.
but I'm just now starting to get into the lore, and the more I get into it, the more I start to like it, and way more fun than the games at this point.
True.
But internet trolling the other night, and I find this guy who brings up a really interesting point,
Uh
and
huh.
I wanted to know your take on it.
Okay.
So, the last patch now we have confirmed that all necromancy is the same,
Yeah.
but it's sourced from different places.
Yeah.
So far we have confirmed that you have death magic, fell magic, light magic, void magic, arcane,
Mhm.
and life.
Yeah.
What would be your top three if you were going to create a necromancy playable character?
All right. So first and foremost, I have to say I don't quite agree with their lore stance. I think the lore is sort of missing certain points in their estimation. So when he tells Kalia that, listen, necromancy is necromancy by any name, and it doesn't matter how necromancy is enacted, it sort of ignores the fact that if life, for example, decided to engage in necromancy, there would probably be a clear clash, right? In terms of what are you doing, right? Life is using death magic. That would be probably against their principles. And to be clear, we know that it is because the Drust are druids that started using death magic and then became death druids. Life
Okay,
no
yeah.
longer answers them, right? So the Drust can no longer channel life spells because of that curse, because they are death druids. So we already
So
know. Sorry, yeah?
would you consider Bolvar's resurrection to be life magic and a form of necromancy?
It depends. Was Bolvar actually resurrected? Because we know that Bolvar was seriously hurt by the plague and then cleansed by the breath of Alexstrasza. But we have no concrete evidence that he actually died at the Wrathgate, right?
That's
We
fair.
just know that he was very, very hurt. And actually, it would appear as if the flames hurt him far more than what the plague did, right? Now, the flames most likely held whatever bit of life he still had in him. It did hold him from dying, as Apocalypse just said there. Alexstrasza's flames kept him from crossing the threshold, rather than like bringing
Okay.
him back from the threshold. So it does appear as if there would be a price, and the Void actually tells us this. So the Void says that the Light had struck a bargain with the enemy of all. And then suddenly we see Kalia Menethil being resurrected, right, by the Light. So this means in order for the Light to summon or to use necromancy, some kind of deal had to be struck between the Light and death, or the Light and something. What thing we still don't quite know. But the Light had struck a bargain with the enemy of all. If recent events is anything to go by, most likely the Light had a deal with Zuval, which would then also explain why every single one of Zuval's champions were Light. Arthas Menethil was a paladin. Zuval chose
Yeah.
him. Anduin was a priest. Zuval chose him. The only champion of Zuval that wasn't of the Light is oh my god. Oh my god, the original Lich King. Now I'm blanking. Ner'zhul, right? Is Ner'zhul. The only one. But also Zuval did not choose Ner'zhul. Ner'zhul was chosen by Sargeras, right? So as soon as Zuval could choose, he chose Light, which means there might be a connection between the Light and Zuval, which is how necromancy was summoned. Now, to your question, after sort of explaining why I have a problem with how Blizzard is setting up the lore, because I think there's issues with it. The top ones as far as I'm concerned, that would be able to use necromancy would be Foul. So we have evidence of the Foul using necromancy in the past, and it's not a stretch to believe that Foul could use it again, right? I'm going to
around every year.
Sorry?
The Headless Horseman is Fail magic.
There you go, right? So Foul, and really what you need, the only thing you need for necromancy, which is why I understand why Blizzard decided to word it the way that they did, because necromancy is just magic. Magic in Azeroth is literally just the use of Arcane, right? Arcane is all magic is Arcane. Arcane just vibrates in different ways. So our theory, for example, is that Foul is Arcane magic, but highly unstable. So if Arcane becomes unstable, it becomes Foul. If Arcane is incredibly condensed, it becomes Light, for example. If Arcane becomes depleted, it becomes Void. So all magic is Arcane, because basically we're told this in the original lore. Arcane is the building blocks of the entire universe, and all magic is Arcane. So it really just depends on what kind of Arcane you're using in order to utilize the magic of necromancy, right? Calling upon the dead and tying them or binding them, as it were. Now, I'm going to exclude death magic, because obviously death magic, or death as a magic sword, would be the best for necromancy, because it's their magic. So on that point, from that sense, I would say Foul, Void, and Order, or Arcane. I think those would be the three, after death, those would be the three magic sources that is best situated for the use of necromancy.
That's perfect. Yeah, that's I was actually thinking Fel and Void for sure, but Arcane does make sense.
I mean, the Void... So there is something weird about the Void that I think a lot of people have yet to sort of dive into. We've all mentioned it before, but I don't even have an answer to it yet. I'm still trying to figure this out. But you have, within the Void, the Curse of Flesh, which by its actual name should be called the Curse of Life. Because without flesh, there is no life. If you're a construct, you're not alive. You're just a construct. You don't breathe, you don't eat, you don't need anything to sustain yourself. You aren't alive. So the Curse of Flesh is life. How does the Void have the ability to bestow life upon a creature? The only way that can happen is if they are connected. Right? They have to be connected to each other. So the light and the void isn't that different from one another, meaning they have the same sort of abilities. They can do the same thing. In life, it would literally be called resurrection. In death or in void, it's called a curse, right? But it's still the same thing. So yeah, I think void just makes sense due to the fact that if it can give life, it almost certainly can bring life back.
No, that's perfect. Yeah, that's why I wanted to ask, because like I said, my knowledge is very limited. I won't sit here and try to boast like I know a lot. So, thank you for explaining that. That was a very good explanation.
It just so happens that you asked a question on something that I'm incredibly well versed in, because I spent me, Alpocalypse, Andy, and a couple of other mods spent, oh my god, probably a year tearing the Chronicles apart. Like, fucking daily. We were tearing at the story, at the magic sources, at the cosmic map. The cosmic map was like... I basically had it bookmarked eventually, just because I was using it almost every single stream to talk about something within World of Warcraft. So it just so happens to be a topic that I'm so well versed in when it comes to World of Warcraft. It is those different sources of power. which is so much fun. So thank you for that question. I loved it.
Yeah, thank you for the answer.
Thank you very much.
Take care, brother.
Dude.
Have a good one.
Take care of yourself, bro. Thank you.